You can rely on APT for high school football. Join us live for the Alabama High School Super 7 Championships presented by Protective. Tune in November 30th through December 2nd to join the squad.
Are you an enthusiastic sports fan? Want to have fun and get in on the action?
Heck, yes. That'd be awesome.
Have great attention to detail? Want to stay active?
Definitely.
Want to give back to the student athletes in your community?
Obviously, yes.
Then you'd make an excellent high school sports official. We need more officials in Alabama, because with no high school officials, there are no high school sports. Sign up today at highschoolofficials.com.
As we go deeper into the playoff season, the highlights get that much brighter. Let's see what David Holtzford's gathered up from last week's action. We open this week's AHSAA football playoff highlights with defending Class 1A state champion Sweetwater traveling to Elba High School in Class 1A. Sweetwater shocked the previously unbeaten Tigers early, with LaShawn Young helping the Bulldogs jump out to a 27-0 lead by halftime. He finished the game with 177 rushing yards on 20 carries, while the Sweetwater defense slowed Elba's sophomore running back sensation Alvin Henderson. He was able to run for 198 yards, but it wasn't quite enough as Coach Pat Thompson's Bulldogs, 8-2, advanced to the quarterfinals to take on Millery this week. We move north to Lineville, where we catch Gulf Shores and Central of Clay County battling toe-to-toe in the Class 5A state playoffs. We pick up the action with Gulf Shores' talented Ronnie Royal scoring a touchdown to tie the game late in the first quarter. With time running out in a scoreless second quarter, Braden Jackson picks off a tipped pass and returns it 90 yards for a touchdown to give the Dolphins the lead and the momentum heading into the second half. Andrew Heflin would score this touchdown to give the host Volunteers the lead again, but Royal finished strong with 62 yards on 11 carries and 3 touchdowns, 2 rushing and 1 receiving, as Gulf Shores 11-1 advances to the third round of the state playoffs for the first time in school history with a 26-21 victory over Central. Heading north to Decatur, we find the Gardendale Rockets taking off fast with quarterback Tyler Nelson at the controls. He dominated the action with 144 yards rushing, 132 yards passing, and accounting for 3 touchdowns. He rushed for 2 scores and passed for another as Gardendale rolled into the Class 6A quarterfinals with a 31-7 win over the Red Raiders. Gardendale will host Muscle Shoals on Friday night. Alabama Christian hosted Pike County at Faulkner University in one of the most exciting games of the playoffs so far. The Eagles jumped out to an early 25-0 lead. The Bulldogs clawed back with a 43-yard interception return for a touchdown by Marcellus Hodby to cut the lead to 25-14. Pike County cut the lead to 25-21 early in the second half, but ACA turned to some trickery to take a 32-21 lead when running back Corey Landers took the direct snap and tossed the ball to Avery Stewart, who finds 6'6" quarterback Hayes Hunt wide open for a touchdown pass. The rest of the night belonged to the Bulldogs defense and talented receiver Ian Foster. Pike County quarterback Amari Brown fired 3 touchdown passes to Foster, who made a spectacular grab to put the Bulldogs ahead 41-39 with 90 seconds left. The Eagles drove down close before a sack forced a 40-yard field goal try with 11 seconds left, and Pike County, 8-3, blocked the kick to preserve this stunning 2-point win. Moving back to Class 6A, we head to Tuscaloosa, where unbeaten Hillcrest Tuscaloosa and strong Saraland clashed in a battle of the Titans. It was sophomore receiver Ryan Williams who grabbed the spotlight in this one. He established himself as one of the state's best receivers by catching 8 passes for 240 yards and 3 touchdowns, rushing for 2 scores and passing for another touchdown as the Spartans won big, 56-31. Saraland also went into their own bag of tricks, leading 7-0 by faking a field goal try when holder Clint Smith flipped the pass to kicker Hunter Kirkland, who ran around the corner to score a touchdown. Saraland quarterback KJ Lacey finished with 366 yards on the night and 4 touchdown passes. Saraland will host Homewood this week in the quarterfinals. Three-time defending Class 7A state champion Thompson hosted Vestavia Hills in a 7A quarterfinal battle that was a rematch from an earlier Class 7A Region 3 contest earlier this season. Defense ruled early as Vestavia led 3-0 at intermission. Thompson came out strong in the second half, scoring 2 quick touchdowns on strong runs by A.J. Green and Michael Dewan. Green would add a second touchdown for the Warriors, and Vestavia quarterback John Paul Head added a 30-yard touchdown run. But Thompson held to win 21-12 and advanced to play Hoover Friday night in the Class 7A semifinals. It is Thompson's 6th straight trip to the Class 7A semifinals under head coach Mark Freeman's direction. And we close out last week's highlights with Arab High School's Class 5A playoff victory over the Moody Blue Devils. Let's check in with the call from the game.
And it was Arab, the Knights, defending home turf off the legs of Drake Franklin. 5 incredible touchdowns as they are victorious. Anthony Jakes along with myself, James Redden. This was a situation where defense was early, but it wasn't late in this one.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it came out the first half 14-14 and looked like it was just going to be a scoring slugfest, but Arab able to take off in the second half behind Jake Franklin and just an outstanding game for Arab.
Let's take a look at the highlights, and this was a defensive grudge match early on, and Moody looked like they would take control because they were finding that young man Davian Dozier early and often in this one.
Yeah, they did. You had a late hit out of bounds right here, which set Moody up for the first score of the game, and McCarty doing a really good job throwing the back shoulder here to Dozier, and just looked like he was about to have a big night. Of course he did, but here a little fake punt by Arab here, keeping the drive going for them to set up their first score.
And the big catch right here by Brody McCain, and he would keep the drive alive, and first of 5 touchdowns by Drake Franklin.
Yeah, just a patient runner all night long, and we saw that. And here you're going to see just some of the Arkansas commit there. I mean, you're going to see him doing that next year on Saturdays, and just a big-time player there for Moody, Davion Dozier. A great game for him tonight.
Another strong run, but this time the run is Hayden O'Reilly, who was able to be an offensive spark for this team right when they needed.
Yeah, that was about the biggest running play for Arab all night. And then this guy again, you get him close, he does a great job, great vision of seeing it and getting the end zone again. And here's what Cole McCarty does best, and just finding again Davion Dozier, who again goes up for it, and another big play for him. And but on this drive, Arab was able to hold. It was a difference in the game right here. They're able to get Moody off the field and able to take over on downs that kept him out of the end zone there.
Keeping it on the run is Cox, able to get a first down, calling his own number, and then the pass play that sets up another run. Strickland on the reception, and number 3, Drake Franklin, into the end zone for a score. And then the second half, it would be definitely big-time plays by AHSAA.
Yeah, you can see here again. There's Dozier there over the middle, and you can see how athletic he is and hard he is to get on the ground. But you see AHSAA just rallying to the football, and that's what they continue to do on defense all night. And here you see McCarty with a scramble and a very athletic play, getting them a touchdown there in the second half. But that was the only one they were able to get in the second half. And you see here the big special team, probably the turning point of the game for me there. The special team mistake, and then the slant behind it on third down for the touchdown to McCain.
And here comes Franklin again, and he's off to the races. That just little stutter step just makes everybody stop in their tracks.
Yeah, that's right. And here again, you see Moody was able to drive it down the field, but AHSAA able to get tough in the red zone here and get a stop there. And again, they just kind of were able to make a few more plays. And this guy right here, just like Coach Osment said, he's been doing this all year and hasn't got a lot of publicity. But I think tonight he was able to get that publicity. 5 touchdowns, a great night for him.
And he doesn't want it, but let's see if we can talk to Coach Osment. Happy to be joined by Coach Lee Osment. Coach, congratulations, but let's talk about that offense and your running back, Mr. Franklin. He stepped up big today.
Drake Franklin had a great game, and he's had a great season. We're up here kind of without a lot of media coverage, and he's been doing what he did tonight all year long. And he can't do it without an offensive line. And our offensive line got really good pushes up front. A few times we had some bleed-throughs on the backside. But he did a great job finding the hole. Sometimes Frank can cut it back against the grain, and we're blocking it one way, and they'll read blocks, but then he'll cut it completely different. And he did that a few times tonight. But he's got a knack for finding, the hole. He's got a knack for finding space, and he did a great job tonight. I'm not even sure how many yards he had, but it was quite a few, and he carried us.
Coach, defending Dozier for Moody, it seems as though you guys learned how to defend him as the game went along.
Well, yeah, I mean, actually, he's a heck of he is one heck of an athlete. I mean, they had 3 or 4 of them, but he was really good. He was just getting over the top of us, and we couldn't do anything about it in the first half. So what we had to do is put coverage over the top, so that we could play underneath and over the top.
Coach, with this victory, you got to move on for a road game. You play Pleasant Grove. What's your initial thoughts on playing a team like that and having to bring all this momentum and take it on the road?
Well, it doesn't get any easier, that's for sure. I know they're athletic. I've seen them play a few times, and they're an athletic bunch. They're well coached. They play good defense. I mean, it's going to be it's a tall order. But, look, with this bunch, I think we could build a bridge in a week. I don't know. This bunch they believe, and they a little belief and a little confidence is a dangerous thing to a team like this. And look, this is what's going to happen this week. We're going to show up Sunday. We're going to get to work. We'll work Sunday. We'll work Monday. We'll work Tuesday. We'll work Wednesday, and we'll play play Friday. So that's how it'll be. And you can bank on it. You can take that to the bank. This bunch loves to work. They get mad when they don't work hard. So it's a good bunch. Really, really good bunch.
All right, Coach. Congratulations, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Be sure to send this week's highlights to David Holtzford at the email address on your screen. And don't forget about this week's AHSAA TV Network Game of the Week, the Class 7A semifinals between Central Phoenix City and Auburn High School. We'll be back right here again next week with another round of the playoffs in the books. We can't wait to see you then.
Retirement planning, investment planning, education planning, ad valorem, blah, 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 blah. Financial planners love to show their version of a perfect retirement, but what about your perfect retirement? At AM First Financial, we'll get to know you first, so we can make a plan for the person you'll be years from now. And future you will be glad we planned ahead. So call AM First Financial today. You'll thank you later.
What's your favorite high school sports memory? A late-inning rally? A game-winning shot? A photo finish? Maybe it's a pep rally or a pregame ritual. Maybe it's the euphoria of a late-night bus ride home after a hard-fought win. Maybe it's having pizza with teammates after the game. Now, imagine if it never happened at all. School sports need your help. With budgets getting tighter, it's more than the games that are on the line. It's all the traditions, the community pride, the culture of your hometown high school. Plus, all those memories that are on the line, too. What can you do? It's simple. Buy a ticket when you can. Go to a game. Take the whole family. Let's do everything we can to keep those cherished school sports memories alive.
This message presented by the Alabama High School Athletic Association and the Alabama High School Athletic Directors and Coaches Association.
You can rely on APT for high school football. Join us live for the Alabama High School Super 7 Championships presented by Protective. Tune in November 30th through December 2nd to join the squad.
Let's take a look at our brackets right now. We'll look at what happened last week in round 2, and then we'll look ahead to what's coming up this week in round 3 of the Alabama High School playoffs. We will start off in Class 1A, where last Friday night Elba met Sweetwater, and Sweetwater came out on top. They will play Milry this Friday night, who knocked off Lochapoka last week. In the second round, Meek met Pickens County, and Pickens County, the victor in that one, they will meet Marion, who was able to defeat Valley Head last Friday night. Still in Class 1A, Spring Garden played Coosa Christian, and Coosa Christian was the victor in that game. They'll meet Lynn on the gridiron this Friday night, who was able to knock off Addison last week. Moving on to Class 2A, BB Comer went up against Wicksburg, and BB Comer came out on top. They will face Reeltown in the third round of the playoffs, who knocked off GW Long last Friday night. Ayrton played Highland Home, and Highland Home, the victor in that matchup. They will meet Clark County on the gridiron this week, who was able to defeat Vincent this time last week. Still in Class 2A, the second round of the playoffs is when Lexington went up against Tuscaloosa Academy, and Tuscaloosa Academy was able to come out on top. They will meet Fife in the third round, who was able to knock off Winston County last week. Southeastern met Pisgah last week, and Pisgah the victor of that matchup. They will play Aliceville in the third round of the playoffs. Aliceville was victorious last week over Falkville. Moving on up to Class 3A, Dadeville took on Thomasville last week in the second round, and then for the third round, since Thomasville came out on top, they will meet St. James, who was able to knock off W.S. Neal last week. Staying in Class 3A, in the second round of the playoffs, Mobile Christian played Trinity Presbyterian. Mobile Christian, the victor in that matchup. They will meet Pike County on the gridiron for the third round. Pike County was able to knock off Alabama Christian last week. Also in Class 3A, there was a matchup last week between Geraldine and Mars Hill. Geraldine, the one that came out on top there. They will meet Sylvania this week for the third round of the playoffs. Sylvania, the victor over Madison Academy last week. Colbert County met up with Piedmont for the second round of the state playoffs. Piedmont came out on top, and they'll meet Gordo, who was able to beat Lauderdale County back in the second round. Class 4A now, BT Washington matched up with Anniston, and Anniston the victor of that matchup. They will play Andalusia, who was able to knock off American Christian in the second round of the playoffs. Still in Class 4A, Jacksonville went up against Catholic of Montgomery, and the mighty Catholic of Montgomery advances to the third round. They will take on Handley, who was victorious over T.R. Miller in the second round. Still in Class 4A, Aniana went up against Priceville, and Aniana the victor of that matchup. In the third round, Aniana will meet Deschler, who was able to knock off Etowah last week in the second round. Cherokee County was able to go up against West Morgan and come out on top. They'll face off against Randolph in the third round of the playoffs. Randolph beat Dora last week. In Class 5A, Central of Clay County up against Gulf Shores, and it was Gulf Shores that came out on top in that matchup. They'll meet Faith Academy, who was able to knock off Demopolis in the second round of the playoffs. AHSAA went up against Charles Henderson in the second round last week, and it was Charles Henderson that came out on top. At the same time, UMS Wright went up against Beauregard, and UMS Wright was the victor. That means Charles Henderson and UMS Wright will face off in the third round this Friday night. Staying in 5A, we look in on Russellville versus Pleasant Grove. It was Pleasant Grove that came out on top. They'll get a chance to go up against ARAB, who was able to knock off Moody last week. Leeds versus Scottsboro, and Leeds is the one that comes out on top in that matchup. They will meet Ramsey on the gridiron this Friday night. Ramsey was able to knock off Gunnersville last week. Moving on up to 6A, Hillcrest Tuscaloosa was able to take on Saraland. It was Saraland that came out on top. They will get a crack at Homewood this Friday night, who knocked off Pike Road, the defending state champs, last Friday. St. Paul's versus Pelham, and it was St. Paul's who came out the victor in that matchup. They'll take on Theodore, who knocked off Hueytown last week. Gadsden City versus Mountain Brook, and Mountain Brook advances to the third round of the state playoff. They'll get the chance to meet Hartselle this Friday night in the third round. Hartselle beat Centerpoint last week. In the second round in Class 6A, it was Parker versus Muscle Shoals, and Muscle Shoals came out victorious. They will take on Gardendale, the winner of the game last week that was Gardendale versus Decatur. Auburn versus Dothan High School, and Auburn comes out on top. They will meet up with Phoenix City this Friday night on the AHSAA network. Phoenix City was able to knock off Enterprise last. In Class 7A, Hoover versus Hewitt-Trustful, and at the same time, Thompson knocked off Vestavia Hills. That lines up the epic matchup that we keep seeing year after year. Hoover versus Thompson will meet in the third round. We are so pleased to welcome to the program now Mr. David Hall from Slocum High School. Welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having us.
Well, I understand that Slocum is actually known for tomatoes, but you have been working for many years to put Slocum on the map for a different food item, and that is hand-dipped corn dogs. Is that right?
In 1962, at a basketball game, Slocum Athletic Association, our quarterback club at that point, served their first corn dog at a basketball game, and it's been going ever since. With the exception of 1 year, the decision was made to serve a corn dog from Sam's, and that didn't go really well. So ever since that point, we've been serving them at all of our events, to include this week at Peanut Festival.
Well, tell me a little bit more about how this is not just about the concession stand on Friday night. Like you say, you're at the Peanut Festival in Dothan right now. So this is actually a way that you guys raise money for your football program, and I believe the band too. So tell us a little bit about sort of the bigger picture here about the corn dog.
It is one of our #1 selling items, both at the concession stand on football game Friday nights and out here at the Peanut Festival. It basically supports our athletic programs and our band as our biggest fundraiser of the year.
Well, what do you think, in your opinion, is it that makes these corn dogs so special?
Love. We cook and make these things with love, and I think that's the difference. I mean, of course, there's ingredients that we won't share with you today, but at the end of the day, the Red Tops is a very loving group, and we put love and eat. I mean, we hand stick each and every corn dog. We hand dip each and every corn dog and fry them with our fire. And it's just a lot of love that goes into every single thing that we do here.
Well, David, you're making my stomach growl talking about these corn dogs. I'm going to have to figure out how to get one very soon, but we appreciate you taking the time to share with us this special tradition there in Slocum, and we hope to get down there soon so that we can taste one of these hand-dipped corn dogs.
Absolutely. We'd love to have you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
never plan B, just a path I'm taking. Breaking on through on the road I'm making. I knew one day I'd get my shot, so here I am to give it all I got. This is the big time, ready, set, go. Work so hard just to make this show. Under the lights, it's time to shine. Get your game face on, cause this is the big time. This is the big time. Ever since my boots first hit these streets, had to scratch and claw, made me hard to beat. They were real early mornings and late nights.